Hello, guys. Welcome back to our Why We Do It conversation series here at the New Group. So you haven't seen us a while because after the murder of George Floyd and the subsequent Black Lives Matter demonstrations, we made the decision to hit pause on this series in order to make space for the discussions happening on the internet around those events. Though we are resuming this series, we also acknowledge that the movement is not over and that there is still a lot of work to be done to end racism. So we encourage you to continue educating yourselves and taking action in your communities. For more resources, please follow the link on your screen. I can't see it, but oh, there it is. Follow that link. Anyway, switching subjects very drastically, I'm going to introduce now one of my favorite young actors, Nat Wolff. Hi, Nat.
Hi, how's it going, Scott? Am I still muted or am I on?
I hear you.
Okay, hi. Thanks for
Hey, how
having
you doing?
me.
Oh man, thank you so much for doing this. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. It's the first thing I've had to get dressed for in a while, so that's
Yeah, I know. I've been having to get dressed once a week for these. We had a little pause, so I had off, but yeah, no, it is sort of an interesting experience. What's the experience like for you? What's going on? How are you processing all of this as a young person, at the height of his, incredible artistic achievements? How are you handling all this? What's going on?
it was really odd for me because I had spent about the 6 months or 7 months before this happened shooting a TV show about a pandemic based off this novel, The Stand. So it was almost like, we had lived through a lot of these steps before. So when I first heard about the coronavirus in January, because I remember reading an article about it, I was panicked in a way that everybody was telling me that I was foolish to be like everyone around me, because I was seeing what had happened in The Stand, and things were happening exactly the way that they happened, the way it was spreading, and so I think I went through a lot of anxiety beforehand, and then, in a way, it's just it's been such a horrifying, scary time, but also for me, it's been a time of a lot of reflection, artistically, and then socially and personally, and so I feel like hopefully, if there's anything to gain from this, it's going to be sort of a hopefully we end up being more unified. I was talking to my parents last night, and they were quoting something that they read where somebody said that the darkness that we're in, it isn't a tomb, it's a womb, and we're going to come out and it's going to be light. I thought that was really beautiful. So
Well, you have the most incredible parents, of course.
really
We all
amazing.
love them.
Yeah.
You're lucky.
Mom's
You and
awesome.
your
All our baby
well,
pictures.
yeah. Does everybody know who Matt? Does everybody know who your parents are? Nat's parents,
You know,
Polly Draper, one of the great actresses, and Michael Wolff, one of the great musicians. And I guess, if they were going to spawn anything, they were going to spawn you and Alex, because you're both fabulous actors and fabulous musicians.
well, thank you. Yeah, my mom is an incredible actress and writer and director. My dad's a jazz pianist, and they met on my dad was the band leader on a talk show called the Arsenio Hall Show, only second to the Scott Elliott talk show, which we're on.
Well, exactly. Maybe I can. There's a piano right behind me. Maybe I could get him
Do a little
to come and yeah, he could be my music guy. I'm going to call him.
But they met on that show, and then
She was the guest.
My mom was
And
the
they met?
guest. And
Oh, how fun! I didn't know
and
that.
my dad came and was hitting on her in the hair and makeup room, and then my mom said, "What does he come in here and hit on all the actresses?" And the hair and makeup people said, "No, this is actually the first time he's ever come in here."
Oh.
So he was obsessed with her, and then started sending her all these roses, and finally just sort of wore her down. And I think she had a husband and a couple boyfriends or something. So then she got rid of them, got with my dad. She had an ex-husband. She's not gonna like that I said that. She had an ex-husband. I think they weren't fully divorced, and this is my first time socializing in a while.
No, yeah, it's good. You're spilling all the beans.
I know. I like it.
Now, when I see your mother, I'm going to have your parents. I'm going to have a whole other view.
Yeah, when we were young, we used to do interviews, and she would spill the beans on us and our awkward first dates or whatever, and so now I get to repay the favor. Revenge.
So tell me about, or tell everybody about your, how you guys got started, the Naked Brothers band. I'm sure there's a lot of your fans watching this, the Nat Wolff fan club, but
So
tell.
I had a band with my brother when I was a little kid. I was obsessed with the Beatles, and I would spend all day just watching the Beatles anthology tapes.
Ringo's 80 today, right? Isn't it his 80th birthday?
Or today, yeah.
Oh, yesterday or today, yeah.
And actually, my first guitar, my dad told me that he ran into Ringo, and Ringo helped him pick it out, which then when I got older, I realized wasn't true. But it was a nice thing that got me really excited about the guitar. But I started a band with my friends in preschool and my brother Alex, and then I wrote all these songs, and my mom wrote this sort of Spinal Tap-esque mock documentary about us, and we shot it in New York for really cheap. And then Nickelodeon bought it at a film festival. It got into a bunch of film festivals and kept winning film festivals. And then Nickelodeon bought it, and then it became this TV show. My parents said, "We'll only let you do the show if you can, they will only let our kids do the show if they go to school during the year." So then we went to school during the year, and I would write 13 or 14 or 15 songs during the year, and then we'd record them as a band, and then during the summer shoot the episodes that all kind of revolved around the music. And it was great. I mean, it's still, I think, the hardest work I've ever done. So everything else has been kind of easy.
How many years did you do that for?
We did the show for 3 seasons plus the movie. So it was about 5 years.
Wow.
From the time I was 9 to the time I was 13. And then I was washed up. And then we were in school, and we were really crazily famous for a couple of years, where we'd walk out school door and people would be screaming and stuff, and it was really strange and disorienting. And then I turned 13 or 14, and I got tall. I grew a bunch of inches, and my voice changed, and my face started to look different. And so suddenly nobody knew who I was again. And then Alex and I started going on tour, playing music, and I did a couple, I worked with acting teachers and started working on trying to be the best artist I could be, because it's like one of those things where you never know when things are going to hit or go down. And I was really young, learning, it doesn't really have that much to do with me. I guess it had to do with my height, and my
your voice changing.
My voice changing, but yeah, but it was a nice lesson to learn, sort of, about that. It's about just the art and trying to be the best you can be.
Yeah, well, you've had good training. That's really, Alex is like that too. I always find, the two of you have similar aesthetics. So what was well, of course, I didn't meet you until, or like, you didn't meet me, but when somebody told me to watch The Fault in Our Stars, our mutual agent, I think, called me up and said, have you not seen that? And I was like, I'm never going to watch that movie. I was like, I'll watch a few clips of it. And then, of course, I was like, I don't want to watch a movie where all these young kids have cancer, and then I turned it on, and I sort of was blown away by it. I think that guy's doing The Stand. The director of that is doing The Stand as well, right? Yeah. So
he took something. What's your question? Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, no, you talk. I'll hold my question.
No, I was gonna say that he was working at a video store from the time Josh Boone was working in a video store from the time he was 16 to when he was 28, just trying to get something happening. And then he wrote this script, and the movie ended up being called Stuck in Love, and I was in it, and we became good friends. And then I actually heard they were making a movie, The Fault in Our Stars, and I said, Josh, you got to go get this movie. And so I sent it to him. So I take credit, and then I tried to lead part in the movie, and it got really close, and they gave it to Ansel, and then he said, you wouldn't want to play the other part, would you? And I said, no, I play the other part, of course. So it was a great great.
I thought it was a good match of the three of you. I got to know Ansel as a result of that. Also, both of you I met, and both of you are so talented. And then then we met, and that's when we did Berry Child together at the new group. How old were you when we did that?
20.
20. And how old are you now? Like 25?
25. Wait, hold on. I just turned 21, but that was such an amazing, exciting experience, especially because it was you.
Oh,
But
thank
also,
you.
but also,
Well, I mean, I had fallen in love with you already, so we had we fell in love. I loved you before you loved me.
we had what was really exciting is we had Sam Shepard there during the rehearsals, and that was he ended up dying 5 months later or something.
Yeah, it was his last show. It was his last show. Actually, when we did it in London, it was his last show, but it was his last. It was his last production. It was an incredible experience.
It was so
It was
amazing.
so much fun. We remember we had Patti Smith in the room with us.
He would bring
It sort of brought it all together.
his friends would come by, Patti Smith and then Jessica Lange, and they'd all come into the rehearsal. So I remember I did do my first, get up, read through the first time we put the whole thing on its feet in front of Patti Smith, and I was like, feels unfair. And then he was adding lines and stuff. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning play, but he was like, I don't like this anymore. Do this, and I mean, it was so magical. And it was also exciting to see somebody that's such a legend that's seemed like even in that play that's so well regarded and stuff, he's just always working on it.
Well, you were sandwiched by legends because you had Ed Harris over here and Sam Shepard. I always used to think like I would wonder like whether is Nat going to buckle under the pressure, but you never did. And it was an interesting experience because obviously we were engaged with production before we realized that Sam wasn't doing so well. And then normally I would never let anybody come and watch rehearsals, but how could I say no? And it really opened me up too, in a way, like made me. I felt vulnerable having Patti Smith and Jessica Lange hanging around with Sam Shepard, but it was sort of fun. There was something life affirming about the whole thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had actually gotten lucky enough to work with him about a year before, and he was in a
oh right, the movie.
He was riding a horse. He was in the gym at the hotel. He was totally with it. And then nobody had told me he was sick. I didn't know anything about it. So when he and I had really gotten along with him during the movie. It was one of those things where we had a lot of time off. And so we were and I would talk to him all about what an obsessive fan I am of his. And we talked all about his plays. And then he really was interested in my dad being a jazz musician. And, because he's really into jazz, and he says that as a playwright, he's kind of like a jazz musician because he kind of just lets it rip. But then he showed up to rehearsal and he was totally, couldn't zip up his jacket, I remember, and he was having a hard time with using the pen and all that stuff. And at first, like you said, it ended up being life affirming, but at first it was kind of heartbreaking. And then you realized how much joy he was still getting out of the creative process, and also just what a sweet guy he was. It was really, I feel so lucky to have experienced that.
Yeah, me too. It was one of the great rehearsal rooms. He was he was quite a man, and to see him grappling with his vulnerability was sort of beautiful and amazing. Anyway, let's not get too sad.
Also, Ed Harris and him have been friends since they did Fool for Love together in the '80s or whatever. So it was
The Right Stuff. The Right Stuff. Did you ever see that movie?
No, I haven't seen it actually.
Oh, you got to watch that movie. If they were remaking that, you'd be in it today. You should rewatch it. That's a really good. It's a good astronaut movie.
I love that.
But so what was it like? So what was it like hanging out like backstage on that show? Ed is a really, he's such a specific actor, and I love working with him. I saw his To Kill a Mockingbird. I saw him do that at Madison Square Garden. I'm surprised I didn't get coronavirus there, but I watched that production. It was amazing. And Ed is so exacting, and I find that you are too. That you're very exacting, and you take everything very seriously, and you really work through all your choices. How did that come about? Like, how did you learn how to act besides having a talented mother?
Well, thank you. I mean, I feel like for me, you know, Ed is one of those people that I look up to so much, and for me, it especially with Very Child, but every experience is I learn so much. I go away thinking, okay, what can I take from that? And from Ed, I really feel like I took a lot of, you know, he just has such a singular focus, um, and I remember one time when we were backstage, and Rich and Paul were the other guys in the play, you know, played the brother
Yeah,
Tilden and
Paul Sparks and Rich
Paul
Summer.
or
Yeah.
something. And I remember Rich saying, you know, because Ed was walking around growling in character before going on stage and kind of hitting the wall and sitting there. And I remember Rich saying, I wish you just, you know, I wonder if he ever has any fun. And Paul said, I think this is how he has fun. And that was such a great lesson of that's how acting, you know, that's how acting, he stayed loose and had a great time was by staying in that world and being present. And that was really inspiring because, you know, you can sometimes go too far with that and get so, you know, locked into trying to be good and that, you know, you do just need to relax and have fun. But I realized he was having a blast. He was just kind of living in that crazy family and that reality that we were supposed to be.
Yeah, well, that's how Ed is. You know, he takes his work, his craft. You know, he's, you know, it's sort of interesting to watch somebody like Ed who takes the craft so seriously. It's beautiful, actually. The first show he did at the new group, the Jacksonian, and like Barry Child, he, you know, if the show's at 8, he's at the theater at like 3.
And he was amazing in that too. I
Yeah, he
remember
was amazing in that. But
me and Paul
he loves it.
yeah.
He loves picking it apart every day and thinking about it, and you know, and I don't know, it's sort of a it's you know, I feel that way personally about when I'm directing a play.
Mm.
I feel the time goes so fast. Do you ever have that feeling like when you're working on something that you love? I know that you don't love working on everything that you work on, none of us do, but when you're really working on something you love, like can you get immersed like that?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to feel that um, when I am working and feel like I have a purpose and feeling passionate, whether it's being in Barry Child or even working on music with Alex or whatever it is that I'm doing that I'm putting, that's actually when I am um, uh, the most the most productive, the most engaged, the most alive. I feel the most passionate. And then honestly, for me, some of the biggest struggle is in between jobs and stuff, trying to stay alive in that way because it's and realizing that it's never, you know, that level of purpose is honest. I feel I go into a little bit of a depression after every job, you know, because it's like everything inside you that you know you have something to say, you know you have something that you want people to hear, and then you get this chance to express it and in this amazing way, and then it's gone, and you're back to just sort of watching Netflix and sitting around and being like, you know, and but honestly, this time of coronavirus and it's been nice to learn how to sort of sit with myself and be and um, not try so hard, you know, not to
Hmm.
to
Well, you
push.
can't really be ambitious when you're sort of. But I know you had mentioned to me that you guys were that you know because I always think of you and your pack of friends, all
Yeah,
of who I know and have been in and out of my life
like
many occasions.
godfather of our friend group. You cast every one of my friends in a play.
I know it's so weird and it's so arbitrary. Like I'd be like, "You're friends with Nat." I mean, how did you meet Grace? Grace Van Patten, your significant other of the moment.
You're kind of you're a legendary
I
Cupid.
thought I was.
Brought together. I know you brought together Paul and Zoe on,
Yep. Hmm.
and then you.
Not me. It's the new group.
It's you. Um, so I went to go see Grace's play, the Whirly gig that she did with you, and
Yeah, Hamish's play.
Hamish's play. I call it Grace's play. No,
It
and
sort of was.
yeah, and she was unbelievable. And I went with my friend Austin, who you know you've done 2 plays with.
Yes. Intimacy in the True.
And Austin is writing a play, and Austin turned to me and he said, "Wow, that girl, she'd be great in my play that I'm writing. I got the whole production planned out in my head. And I said, I've got the whole rest of my life planned out in my head. Stop into it. And then we went out with you guys, with you and Dolly and those guys to the West Bank, and we started hitting it off. I went to give her my number, and she said, I already have your number. Your dad gave it to me. So she'd gotten a piano lesson from my dad a couple years before. So then we've been together for 3 years now because of you. And every night before we go to bed, we say, thank you, Scott. Thank you.
Well, I'll be officiating the wedding.
Yes.
Just let me know. No, I love Grace. I want to work with the two of you together. We have to find something. Oh, your mic is going out. Get closer.
Hello.
Can I hear you? Yeah, I hear you now. Yeah, I want to do something with you and Grace together because we'll figure it out once we can get the hell out of all of this. So tell me about anyway, back to my point was I love the fact that you were telling me how you were all hanging out and reading plays. And because you were quarantined with your brother and Grace and Austin. You were all sort of hanging out together. David Levi, in LA. You're in New York now. We'll hear that story after. But what were you reading, and how did you pick, and what was the thing?
So for the last couple of years, since for about the last 7 or 8 years, we've had a group of friends that formed through acting classes. That you've sort of made your pool of actors, which I love. And
who's that teacher again? What's her name?
Teacher named Sheila Gray, who we were
right, Sheila.
But and then we all started doing, Austin kind of leading it, but we all started doing our own classes and workshops and stuff where it would just be a bunch of young kids together putting on. We did True West. It's like little kids playing dress up almost, with these plays with older characters. And then during COVID time, we've had time to just read through a bunch of, Austin and I read through Julius Caesar, and we've done through Red and through Orphans and through just a bunch of different classics. And then an Annie Baker play. What was that play called? John. Wait, did you guys do John?
No.
Okay, but it was in that building, I think.
I wish I did, but we didn't do it.
Well, we'll do John together.
Good idea. You read Chris Abbott's part?
Yeah, I read Chris Abbott's part.
Mm-hmm. Another great actor.
He's so great, and he's others. But it's a dream to have, because it can't, as an actor, at least with music, with other things, you can get up and do it by yourself. But as an actor, it's really sometimes feels, like I said, that depressing thing where you don't have an outlet. And so to have these friends that are all super passionate, it's always, and even when we're watching movies, it's always working while we're watching and taking things apart. And then, and same with going to see plays and just trying to stay passionate.
And did anything that you read together have special resonance because of the moment in time? Did you have any feelings around any of the stuff you guys were thinking about?
I mean, I think there's a sense that sometimes there's a malaise that happens, I think, with me and then with everybody, especially of not being able to do anything, where it becomes kind of and I think when, and just a sitting around and sort of this energy. And I think when George Floyd was murdered and the Black Lives Matter protests really started in LA, I was in LA. It did feel like it gave a purpose to the life that we were living in that moment, because it seemed before that there was a lot of mercurial energy, just energy sitting around with nothing to do and feeling kind of antsy, and then being able to go to protests and try to support in any ways that we could, and also being part of a lot of these lectures and talks and just listening. It felt like then, when taking in a lot of this information and spirit and stuff, and then going back out to read a play, like honestly just doing this Adam Rapp play, which has nothing to do with anything that's going on, but we read this play, Red Light Winter, and it was right after this heavy week, and we read it, and it's really about uh, you know the struggle to. It's really I love it. I think it's a beautiful play. It's a struggle to be a person, and it felt all the more moving, I think, because of what we're going through. But um, there is I do find that, I don't know for you, but it definitely seems like a time to listen and receive, and to understand that even if you think, no matter what, how you think of yourself, there's a lot of work to be done, and I think even for me, there's times where I feel like, oh, I'm on the good side, I'm the good team, I'm uh, open, and I'm not racist, and then you realize all the ways in which you're unintentionally racist, and how much my life is I've had, how much white privilege has helped in my success and my life, and so I do feel a responsibility to listen and be open and receive, and hopefully do what I can. It's going to be telling in the next 4 to 5 months, 6 months, the people that are sticking with it, because it can become a trend. Like, there's these social trends, you jump on and then you jump off the train as soon as it's not on TV anymore. But hopefully people, this one is going to stick around. I think maybe the coronavirus and people being stuck inside is helping in that way.
Oh, definitely. I think anybody who has the capacity to reflect on it is reflecting on it.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is that half the country doesn't have the capacity to to reflect on it, and I think that's
Well, it's
maybe
really
we can all, maybe those of us who have the capacity can get better, and help to influence the others who don't, or who are clueless.
well, we have
That's the
tons of followers on in Instagram, and I'll post these things that I almost feel like are innocuous. I'm not at all. I don't think I'm at all controversial. I'll post something that just says Black Lives Matter, or post something about where a protest is happening, and the amount of hate messages that I get back from girls that, you look at their profiles are 12 years old, or 14 years old, and you're thinking, how, who got this in your head? Because this isn't something, this isn't something you're born with. This is something that's been just battered into you. It's really depressing.
well, I guess they're the people who are running around spewing the virus all over everybody too, right?
Yeah.
It's funny, you can't change humanity in a weird way, in certain ways, because there's always going to be people who don't behave well,
Right.
who aren't able to absorb, who aren't compassionate, or empathetic, or have empathy. In certain situations, that
Important.
makes it interesting, but in these situations, it's just heinous.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think it's important what you guys are doing, and I think the theater is incredibly important, and it's. I mean, I think. Austin said to me, Austin Caldwell, who we keep on, said to me, the theater would be okay. It survived the bubonic plague, and he's like, but they didn't have TikTok during the bubonic plague.
But now TikTok's bad. Have you been reading about that? It's like they're thinking about, like, I don't know, they're thinking of taking TikTok away because it's
It took people's
it's owned
privacy.
by China or something like that. What?
It was like taking people's information and
Yeah,
selling
or
it.
something like that. I haven't really looked at TikTok, but I think I've missed out because everybody talks about TikTok. But
I mean, it's definitely, it's there's some cool things that have come through TikTok, like all the TikTokers, like, which is mostly kids in middle school and high school, made it look like Trump's rally in Tulsa had been sold out, and it's
oh, I heard about that one. Yeah, amazing.
yeah.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, but a lot of
Smart
it
as
is
fly.
sort of mind-numbing um, dances and stuff. But
Yeah, I only look at what people send me. Like, that's the thing. Like, if somebody sends me a link, I'll look at it. I've seen a couple of TikTok things, and they've been,
you're
I
a
felt
celebrity, actually. They have a whole
what?
Scott Elliott page, and it's just you direct. You do the Scott Elliott dance. It's just a certain kind of.
Hilarious. I gotta check it out. Anyway, so tell a little bit about, like, your excursion from, because you were quarantining in LA and now you're in New York.
Yeah.
You and Grace, being the young, daring actors you are, you got on a plane to seek out maybe some work, and now here you're in New York. And so what was it like? I mean, of course I want to talk all about like your craft, and we'll get back to that, but I'm also curious, like, what was it like going to the airport and getting on a plane and all that?
Well, Grace had an audition here in New York, and it was the only way it was going to happen. She's going to fly, and I thought there's no way we're going to be able to quarantine from each other when she gets back. So whatever she's going to get, I'm going to get anyway. And I've been dying to see my parents, who've been just locked up, in this apartment that I'm in now. But I'm not. I'm doors closed, and they're in the other room. I'm wearing my mask anytime we get out, and then we're going to have dinner down on the stoop. But the it was not. It was it ended up being a last minute decision where I was like, I have to get out there and see them. So we looked like two bank robbers. We put on goggles, and we put on like a motorcycle scarf, and we put on, N95 mask and a big shield, like, waiters wearing.
That's
And
intense.
we got a couple laughs throughout the airport, but I was like, screw it. It's not, I'm not embarrassed about being safe.
Was the airport crowded?
In LA at LAX it was a little bit crowded, but at JFK there was really nobody there. But people in New York I think because it was so bad in the beginning, seemed to be. I mean, I just walked from Brooklyn to here today, and they seemed to be. Everyone was wearing a mask, and then but in LA you'll notice people are. They're slipping. Hopefully people are going to go back to, I think it's super important to wear a mask and take care of yourself. And it shouldn't be a political issue. That's just ridiculous.
So silly to think of it as a political issue. It's not a political issue, but unfortunately we live in a world where everything is politicized.
Right.
We live in our cancel culture world.
Right.
Everything's, it's the way it is, the world we're living in. All right. So what's on the horizon? Like, so you were working on The Stand, which sounds so eerie that you were working on a series about a pandemic, and then the next thing you know, there's a pandemic. How far are you in that? How far did you get shooting?
We finished. So we finished on March
Oh,
5th, and then,
oh, wow.
Everything shut down 2 weeks later. So, I mean, it was crazy. I was doing scenes where we were, my character's in jail, and we were burning toilet paper and throwing it through the jail because we didn't want to get the virus in the show. And then a month later in Italy, they were doing the exact same thing that my character did. And it spread on, the idea of how COVID spread is exactly how the pandemic and The Stand spread. Obviously, The Stand is a way exaggerated version. Everyone dies.
Yeah, it's gruesome too, right? It's pretty gruesome.
Really gruesome, and it has some dark comedy. But no, it was very, very odd, and I know that everyone on set was kind of feeling. I think everyone who was doing the show felt that something serious was coming. Or was at least thinking about it. It was all anyone talked about. Before it was all everyone in the world talked about on set for February and March. But that show's going to come out in September, October. So, it's interesting.
What's it going to be on? Is it on?
It's on
Netflix?
CBS All Access, and then I think
CBS.
the country it's on Netflix. Yeah.
Oh yeah, cool. I can't wait to see that. Who's in that with you?
Alexander Skarsgård plays the devil, and I play
He's
his.
great.
Whoopi Goldberg plays God. And then there's Greg Kinnear's amazing in it. Amber Heard. There's like a million people. I'm forgetting some. Heather Graham. And it was one of the most fun parts I've ever played. It was just a real blast. He's a real pathetic, evil, tortured guy. So it was kind of.
How many episodes is it?
It's 8 episodes.
Oh wow. Well, that'll keep us all busy in September. Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And what about the movie that you have?
I had a movie come out in September called The Kill Team, which I'm really proud of. Which is
It's coming out in September, or it came out already?
Oh. Scott hasn't seen it.
I haven't seen it. I didn't even know about it. You don't send me all your. I mean, you don't send me links to everything. Where can I watch it?
So you can watch it on Amazon. You can watch it on iTunes, all the usual places. But it's this true story of these soldiers in the early 2000s who in Afghanistan killed these innocent civilians and then placed guns on them. And my character tries to report them and bring them down, sort of like a Serpico, and then falls into the hole with them. And it's really upsetting, but I think it's a really important.
Say the title again.
The Kill Team.
The Kill Team. Who's in that with you?
Alexander Skarsgård.
Anybody else? No way. That's so funny.
But we're more at each other's throats in that one, and we're kind of companions in the stand. So it was a different dynamic. But I love working with him. He's great. And then I had a movie come out called Semper Fi, where I play this Marine who goes to prison and they have to break me out, and I'm really proud of that movie too.
What's with all the military? You're like Mr. Military all of a sudden. I never imagined you as a military man.
That's what they say about me. When you look at me, I just scream macho. So then it's like, you got.
I know you do, but I never imagined you as a military man.
I never did either. But after working with these soldier guys, I did these, would do these boot camps for the movies. I realized when they would talk about their experience, it's obviously completely different in a lot of ways, but there is a similarity between doing a play or doing a movie, where you get this alternate family, you have this total purpose, and you go at it, and it's all encompassing. It's your entire world, and then you come home, and in talking to these real soldiers, they say they actually, they can't wait to get back. And
yeah, they miss it.
Yeah, they miss
I've heard that also. Yeah, it's powerful actually to hear about that.
And their lives are in danger, yet they're dying to get back. It's really yeah.
I sort of wonder what that's all about. I sort of wonder whether there are created military towns and things like that. Certainly, there's a military culture.
Yeah, totally.
Towns that have military culture. Well, I'm going to watch both of those movies now, and I'll send you my notes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I know you can't reshoot, but I'll send them to you anyway. So what's next? What are you going to do next? Like, do you have something on the horizon for when this is all over, or what do you hope to do? What do you dream to do next? Because you have a
in the air. I mean, I'm trying to. I'm also trying to become the best. I'm still making music with my brother, so we're putting out some music in the next couple of months.
Nice.
And then
you have to send me links. I'm not kidding.
I will, definitely. I'm trying to become the best. I'm working with an acting teacher for the last 3 years who's really sort of opened a lot of.
Another acting teacher?
A different acting teacher. Yeah.
Who's this?
Her name is Greta.
She the dream one?
Yeah. Do you know her?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know her, but I mean, I've heard about her.
So she and I have been working, and then on different, during this time, I try to do these Zoom classes with her, and then her mom teaches these classes and stuff. So I'll go on the Zoom classes and learn about, I've never done a Chekhov play. I've never done a Shakespeare play. So I'm doing these courses on those, and also trying to just strengthen, just trying to be the best actor I can be. And then I'm dying to get back on stage, hopefully on your guys' stage.
Yeah, well, you are Chekhovian, I would say. You'd be good in the Chekhov. Let me ask you. So, I'm just so curious. The dream acting teacher, like, what do you do? Somebody told me, I think it was Hamish who wrote the Whirligig. Does Grace go to her too?
She's starting to a little. She's very secretive, and she's like a secret weapon. She's gonna fucking kill me that I brought it up. It kind of hid in my mind that I shouldn't have. But
her secret's safe with us.
Okay, her secret's safe with us. She works in a very unconscious way, and in a way that's really inspiring, and I think has totally helped me a lot, because I in a lot of ways was just, I've been writing off instinct, and then now I'm starting to know what I'm doing a little bit better, and I just want to keep getting better and better. And honestly, Barry Child was a huge learning experience, where I remember even by the end of run, I felt like I was a different actor than from the beginning. You know, it was
I
so
remember your breakthroughs well in that process.
yeah,
You had some good breakthroughs. I
yeah,
always find that joyful, as a director, when you're working with actors who have breakthroughs.
yeah.
It was really nice to watch you do that. Well, I don't know. I might have to take that acting teacher. I'm so curious. Do you do it online with her?
I do it in person with her, but yeah, I've been doing stuff online with her with a voice teacher with this on Zoom because obviously no one can meet up, and I'm like trying to keep stay busy and do stuff.
Yeah. Well, you are obviously, and so how does it apply that this technique to the work that you do? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean for me, I think it's a lot of times you go before going to sleep, you write, you when you wake up, you write your dream down, and in real life, your experience is just so limited, but in a play or in a movie, obviously you're going through huge dynamic, your sibling dies, or getting a car crash or whatever, and in your dreams, in my dreams, I'm getting chased by ninjas, and then I'm getting like eaten by a shark,
Oh,
you know.
oh wow. You have like video game dreams. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, keep going.
But
More and
so
more.
I think the things that you feel in a dream are so heightened that they're very applicable to your acting work. And then obviously at the end of the day, it's about like doing all the work and then throwing it away and trying to be in the moment and be present, and really interact with the other actors. And what I found is now the more prepared I am and the more that I've worked on things, the more that I feel like I just jump in and I'm not holding on to some idea of something tightly, and that hopefully I'll get better and better at. But it's definitely a process.
Do you work on the material that you're getting to work on with your coach?
Um,
Or is it a complete, you do?
yeah, yeah. Throughout the years with different people. I mean, growing up, I worked with my mom on a lot of
Of
stuff.
course.
I
She's
would
probably a great coach.
It's amazing. At a certain point, um, you know, I was like, would rather just, you know, I gotta have a coach that's not my mom, because we're doing,
I know it's embarrassing. You have to be able to reveal yourself a little bit, right?
yeah. I remember doing one audition where I had to be flirting with my mom, and I said, I think this is the last audition we can do
Oh, right. You were working on oh, I see. She was playing your acting partner and it was a love scene.
together. Audition. My therapist says,
Well, now you have Grace, so she could
yeah,
coach the both of you. Like Grace, do you ever work? Do you guys work together? Like young
yeah,
actors in a relationship, do you work on things together?
we do totally. I mean, Grace is the kind of actor where if I work with her on an audition, it's just I just run. I don't need to say anything to her. Just get out of her way because she's brilliant. And also, the only thing I could do would be get in her head. Whereas if I work with Austin or somebody like that, we really like. I'll dig into it with him, and he, and then he'll get better and better and better. Whereas Grace, it's like she starts off great, just fucking leave her alone.
Yeah, I think Grace is a really unique human being in many ways. You're very lucky. I have to say that. She's lucky too, but you're luckier.
No, I'm very lucky that she's luckier. No, we work on a lot of stuff. We also we've been rehearsing and doing. We did Austin's play for you guys. I think you guys
Right, right. Yeah, yeah.
officially turned us down, but we're still
We
working.
can't do everything, Nat. We can't do everything. We got to keep you on the stage, off the stage. You're writing, you're directing next. Slow
Um,
down.
when I did write a play recently, so I'll send it to you. And
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Send it on.
yeah, I
But
will.
beware.
Okay, I will. Of your notes. Well, if you're
You know,
notes on movies that have already come out, I can't even imagine the notes on the play that
harsh.
are. Okay, good.
Yeah, harsh. I believe harsh is the way to get what you need.
That's what I live for. But I think
You know that.
in general, one thing that I learned from Ed too, and all those guys, but especially Ed, was he was so open, you know, things would change all the time. And I remember on opening night, I have all this OCD, and with totally unconsciously, I picked a little piece of corn out of his beard because I don't know, it was in the middle of it. I picked a corn out of his beard, and I hadn't really processed that I was doing it. And he smacked my hand, and I was like, I could feel every cell in my body, you know, from my fingers all the way down to my toes. And he was like, and just improvised, "What the fuck was that?" And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know. And we kind of got back to the lines, but with a completely different feeling to them, and it was amazing. It was, I mean,
I was there. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I was shaking in the back. What's happening? No, I wasn't. You know, I think that Ed appreciates in the moment. You know what I mean? And you do too. It's just, you have to be prepared. If you're going to be in the moment, you have to be prepared when you get back, right? That's what it is. That's great acting, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it when people live in the moment and live in the work.
Yeah.
And that show was very lived in. That show was very lived in. Anyway, speaking of lived in, we're going to wrap this part of the thing up. And I'm going to say thank you for everybody for joining us and coming and listening to Nat's great stories. Come back next week. We're going to have Suzanne Vega next week. Yeah, Suzanne Vega, she's amazing. Come back next week. And we're going to go to our cocktail hour now with Nat. If there's anybody out there who would like to join that, you can go to the New Group website and join. It costs a little money, but it goes to a good cause, namely the New Group. And yeah, and so we'll see you all next week with Suzanne Vega, and say thank you so much to Nat. You look great, Nat, and you're
thanks for having me.
And I'm going to see you in a few minutes in the cocktail hour.
All right, see you in a few.
And everybody, come join the cocktail hour. It's fun. You'll hear more Nat Wolff stories, more intimate Nat Wolff stories.
Okay. No,
huh? All right. Okay. See you guys soon.
See you guys.